Welcome, everyone. It's Sunday, January 18th, 2026. And if this is the first time you've ever visited this channel, which I'm guessing it is since this is the first video I've ever made on this channel, my name is Rich. And this Wednesday, January 21st, 2026, I'll be turning 72 years old. And it really, really came up fast on me. So, with that being said, there are a couple of things I want to talk about things that I've noticed since I've gotten older. And maybe they're the same things you've noticed too as you get older. Or maybe you're younger and this will be something for you to look forward to, or maybe not look forward to. It depends. Hopefully you get to this age. But if you're older like I am, I'm sure some of these things that you can relate to. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, well, memory. Now, when I was younger, I had a pretty good memory. I think most of us do. And as you get older, memory starts to get a little less and less as time goes on. Now, I'm not talking about if you have a condition of some kind, but just normal aging of the mind. We all start losing memory as we get older. It's hard for me to memorize things anymore. It's hard for me to do anything more than one thing at a time anymore. I think that's one of the things that really saves me is, first of all, to try to not do too many things at once. Because, if you do, your mind tends to drift from one thing to another, and then you forget something very easily. So if you limit it to one thing, like, okay, where are my keys? Well, I left them in the living room next to the front door. But if you're walking into the living room and you want to find your keys and you're thinking about what you're going to have for lunch, you might forget what you walked in there for. So that's one of the things that really helps me out and may help you out as well. But another thing is my iPhone. If something's really important, I tend to make a lot of reminders on my iPhone. I set the date, I set the time. And that way, I can be sure it's my built-in memory now. So I don't have to stress as much. I mean, that's about it. I could probably remember to do some of the things. Like when I go to the grocery store, I want to pick up certain items, bread, eggs, whatever it is. A lot of times, if I don't write it down, I walk out of that store and, man, I forgot to fill in the blank, whatever it is. So it's just easier if I put a reminder on my phone. You might as well use technology. It's there for us. Back in the day, you just write yourself a note. But instead of doing that now, I just use my phone. Now, I did make some notes for this video, so if I kind of glance down here, that's what I'm doing. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. Another thing I wanted to talk about is food, because I just can't eat like the way I used to. Now, I don't just mean spices. I mean just quantity in general. My appetite's still there. But if I eat too much, my stomach gets bloated. I start having gas. And I've developed IBS over the years. So, unfortunately, between that and acid reflux, which may be some of the things that some of you are struggling with out there, I just find it's better if you just limit how much you eat. I know you go out to eat, you go Italian, you order that big plate of pasta and meatballs, and you just want to eat the whole thing. Well, just try to eat half, because what's going to happen, at least it happens to me, is if I eat the whole thing, and then I eat the bread, and I'm eating the salad, and then I want dessert, it's going to backfire on you. It's going to give you a problem later. Many times I've laid in bed at night and just cursed myself for eating what I ate or as much as I ate, because I can't sleep then. I got to get up. I got to take the Gaviscon or some kind of antacid, drink some water, go back to bed. Next thing you know, 2 hours later, I'm waking up, have to go to the bathroom. And, that touches on that part of it. But the other part is spices. So I used to be able to eat spicy food. Now, I mean spicy. Like, I really enjoy Mexican food. And I would make my own chili. I still do. But, when I made a bowl for myself, when I put the fixins in, I get some fresh jalapenos. I'd slice them up, put a good healthy amount in there, along with onions and cheese and sour cream and maybe some guacamole and some salsa. My mouth's watering just thinking about it. Now, I leave out the jalapenos for sure, because it's not going to be pleasant either that night or the next day. I'm going to feel it. And it's just not worth it anymore. Just like drinking. I used to like a little whiskey now and then. And I still do like a good beer or two. But I just can't drink hard liquor anymore. It flares up my IBS. And next thing you know, I'm up in the middle of the night. My stomach's all bloated. And again, I got to get up, get the Gaviscon. That doesn't even help some of the times. Prop the pillows up behind you and try to get your head raised up. And then maybe drift back to sleep again. So, but that's another issue, is IBS and acid reflux. And I guess that's two separate issues. But, I developed, chronic acid reflux back in my mid-30s. And it started off having spasms in my esophagus, which was not fun. I thought I was having a heart attack. I just had this like really, really bad pain in my chest, which I didn't know what it was at the time, because I never had acid reflux. I never had a problem with my esophagus before. And this was back in, I want to say like the 1970s. No, 30. Well, 1980s. So I remember going to the doctor, and there was no Protonix back then. If anybody takes Protonix now, you know what I'm talking about. Back then it was Prilosec, and it was a prescription drug. And Prilosec now, you can go in, you can buy it over the counter. But back in the day, it was prescription. So I went on Prilosec, and there was some other kind of blocker that, some kind of calcium blocker he gave me, which helped relieve the spasms. But it took months for me to get over it. And, even today, I don't have the problem with the spasms anymore, but the acid reflux will come and go in waves. I don't take Protonix all the time. I don't think it's good for you. I know for a while I was taking it every day for years. And then finally they found out that it's probably not good if you take it all the time, every day for years. So, I went off of it, and now I go back on occasionally for maybe a week or two if I need it. So that's the acid reflux. Now IBS, that's a whole other story. And that started about 20 years ago. I think it was caused by alcohol, if you want the truth. But, I've had a couple of medical conditions over the years. This is one of the most frustrating, because, you're going along fine for days, weeks, even months, and then all of a sudden, something irritates it. And next thing you know, you're up all night with IBS. You got the swollen stomach, and it's not fun. It's not fun. So, I didn't want to talk all medical here. So let me move on to something else. Let me take a quick look at my notes here. Yeah, so I do work out a lot. When I reached my mid-60s, I started feeling like I was just getting too sedentary. I didn't do a whole lot, and maybe I walked a little bit here and there. I still felt pretty healthy, But I finally decided, you know what, I need to go to the gym. So I got a gym membership, which I still have to this day. It's been, I don't know, 7, 8 years now. And I try to go 4 or 5 times a week, even if all I do is go in, get on the treadmill, and walk at a nice steady pace for 30 to 60 minutes. If that's all that I do, I'm happy. I'm in there and I'm moving almost, at least 4 or 5 times a week. Or I get on the, there's a bike in there I like to get on, an exercise bike. And then I try to do some weight training at least twice a week, maybe 3 times if I can. Just light stuff. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder or Arnold Schwarzenegger or anything. I still have a little bit of a stomach, but my weight's pretty much under control. I'm 5'11", 180 pounds. A little bit of a stomach, like I said, but for the most part, I feel like I'm in decent shape. And as you get older, one of the things that you really have to prioritize is moving. It's just moving. Get up off the couch. Even if it's just, you get up once an hour, walk to the bathroom and back. Try walking down your street if it's nice out. Especially in the spring and summer months. If it's decent out, if you're able to. If you don't have a broken hip or bad knees or something. Just get out on the street. Get out on the street and walk for 30 minutes. Just walk around the block. Do something. Walk your dog if that's all it is. It's really important to keep moving, though, because even with moving, I find that my joints will get injured a lot quicker and they take a lot longer to heal. I just pulled a muscle around my rib area 2 weeks ago. And it's still hurting. I can still feel it pulling. That's a lot better. But, in my younger days, that would have healed in a couple of days. And then, even walking, I sometimes my hip will be sore the next day. But I find that if you just, stretch a little bit and get out there and walk a little bit, that pain will ease up. And a lot of times will just disappear. So that's something I would highly recommend that you do. Anytime you have a chance. I'm not saying go walk around Disney World and do 20,000 steps. Although if you can do that, go ahead. I'm just saying 30 minutes, even 20 minutes, 3 times a week if you can. It really helps your health. So. And it helps keep your weight in check, too. And that's the other thing. If you're eating, try to, I know everybody says this, but if you just cut back on the sweets and some of the carbs, some of the bread and everything, you will lose some weight, or at least you'll maintain what you have. I'm not saying go crazy and do Atkins diet or do carnivore, although a lot of people swear by that stuff. And I have tried some of those, and you will lose weight. But I just find that moderation with everything, and that's the next thing I want to talk about is, eating. You don't need 3 meals a day. I'm sorry, I don't know who came up with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Probably somebody in the food industry. You don't need breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You need what you need, okay? But the more carbs that you eat, the hungrier you're going to be throughout the day. So what my normal routine is I'll get up, maybe I'll have a small croissant or a couple of crackers, and I'll drink a cup of coffee. And I drink it black. Once in a while, I'll put some cream in it, some half and half. I don't put any sugar in it anymore. I used to use that hazelnut creamer, which is delicious. But, once I got used to it, I like black coffee now. Sometimes the cream will smooth it out, say you're on vacation and, the coffee's not that great. It's a little bit bitter. Put some cream in it. It'll smooth it out for you. It's just a little tip. If you don't know already, you probably know already. But as far as meals go, then, I'll go to the gym. Like, okay, so let me start my day off. I usually get up around 6 a.m. I'll get up, I'll go downstairs, I'll make my coffee, I'll get some crackers or I'll get a croissant. I'll eat that, I'll drink my coffee, watch a little TV, usually YouTube, because, my attention span anymore, I don't want to watch anything that's more than like 5 or 10 minutes long. It's crazy. Although I will, don't get me wrong. But in the morning, I'll just watch some short videos, drink my coffee, and that's it. Then, around 9:30, 10 o'clock, I go to the gym. And I try to stay at the gym for about an hour, doing whatever I can do. Some light weights, some treadmill, some exercise bike. And I'll just put the time in. Some days I'll work out hard, some days I'll work out easy. And then, if I'm sore the next day, I'll recover. So then I do that, and then I come home. And around 11:30, 12 o'clock, maybe I'll push it to 1 o'clock, I'll have some lunch. I call it lunch, but it's my second meal, basically. Being my first meal being the croissant in the morning. Okay, so it's not really much of a meal. So for lunch, I'll just eat, whatever I have. Make a turkey sandwich, have a little salad. Maybe I'll stop at the grocery store. They have that nice hot food section. If they have some salmon there, if they have some chicken, I like to get some baked chicken and just put it over a salad and get some, just put some like olive oil and vinegar on it, just some basic dressing. Or if you want to use something else, just get like a little container and pour the salad dressing into it. Like I like blue cheese, so I'll put the blue cheese dressing into a container. And then I'll just dip some of the vegetables in as I go along, and I'll eat the chicken. And it's delicious. It fills you up. And, that's lunch. After that, around 2:30, I may have a little snack, which is usually like some walnuts, maybe a little cheese. I like to get that string cheese, or some sharp cheddar, and just have that with some walnuts or some almonds, some roasted almonds. So good. Just a handful. And then after that, I just drink water the rest of the day and night. I usually don't eat dinner. Sometimes I'll break down and I'll have a little bit of protein for dinner. Some more chicken, some chicken wings, some ribs. But I would say like 4 or 5 days out of the week, I don't eat anything else. I'll just drink a lot of water. If I get hungry, I'll drink water. And I just feel healthier. The food digests a lot better for me. I don't have that problem, generally speaking, when I go to bed at night. I can sleep through the night without getting the IBS problem. It just depends. It depends on what you eat. Sometimes you'll just get triggered by something. So that's the breakfast, lunch, and dinner myth. So for you pick whatever 2 meals you want. But I guess what I'm doing is called intermittent fasting. I don't know. I try not to go with any terms, but I think that's basically what it is. I have I want to say like a 6 or 7 hour window where I can eat. And, if I want to have a little snack or something, I will. Usually I don't, but I will if I really feel like it. And then I won't eat the rest of the day. Okay, so that's that. So I don't know. I think this video is starting to get pretty long now, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to go here. I might split this off into another video, but as I get older, I just find that, man, when I get up in the morning, I'm stiff. I'm aching. I try to get right out of bed. I don't really linger too much. Like when I wake up, I need to get up. And I'll usually wake up around the same time every day. And I pop right up. But, when I bend down to put my socks on or pull my pants on, it's a little tough sometimes. It hurts. And you loosen up as the day goes on. At least I do. I do have some arthritis issues in my neck and in my back. I have what they call degenerative disc disease, DDD. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've had that for about 7, 8 years now. And especially the neck just keeps getting worse. And, what do you do for that? Personally, I just take a couple Tylenol. And it kind of like calms some of it down. It eases up the ache, the pain. When I turn my head, it hurts when I turn too far. I can't turn too far. And my back, it's been pretty good for the last couple of months, knock on wood. But there are times when, it'll go out on me and just take days, weeks to get better. I used to like to hike a lot. And when we were hiking once, a little over a year ago, we were hiking in Oregon. And I tripped and I fell hard on one of those trails. I thought I broke something. I didn't. I didn't break anything, but man, for like 6 months, my back was out of alignment. I went to the chiropractor. I did ice. I did everything I could think of. And it took 6 months for it to get back in shape. And right now it's pretty good. But it definitely takes longer to heal. But anyway, you're going to ache in the morning. I don't care, like how much you work out, how many vitamins you take. Old age is going to get to everybody. Some more than others. There are some flukes, some people that say that they don't have any back pain or they don't have any pain when they get up and they're older. Yeah, that ain't me. And I think most people, I can't speak for that for a fact, but most people I talk to, they have problems with pain in the morning. So, and then another thing is I got to stay close to a bathroom for the most part, because when you get older, I guess even when you're younger, when you got to go, you got to go. But there was a time when I didn't have the IBS under control. Getting back to IBS for a minute, that's irritable bowel syndrome for those of you that don't know what that means. And hope you never have to. But before I figured out how I'm supposed to eat, I mean, it would just come on. Like, You'd always have to constantly be aware of where the nearest bathroom was. You went on vacation, you better know where the bathroom is. But, since I've gotten my diet under control, that's pretty much alleviated it. If any of you are interested in what I've done to help with my IBS, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll make another full video on what I've done to really help that out. So yeah, the bathroom, when you got to go, you got to go. Now, I haven't had a problem like a lot of people waking up in the middle of the night and having to go. Usually that only happens if I have to take antacid and I have to drink a lot of water before I go to bed. Normally I don't have to. I guess I'm pretty lucky that way. But I know a lot of people do have that issue, so it's one of those things to be aware of. Just try not to drink a lot heavily before you go to bed. I know this is getting real long here, so I think I'm going to cut it here for now. So if you watch this video to the end, I really do appreciate it. Again, my name is Rich, and I'm going to be making some more of these type of videos on this channel in the future, in the near future. If you like them, hit that like button. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you hanging out, and hope I've offered something for you here that you've enjoyed, or maybe that helps you out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll read them all, and if I can help out, I'll get back to you. And otherwise, you have a great day, have a great life, and I'll see you on the next one.